Northern Colorado is booming right now, but honestly, it's not for everyone. If you're looking for something, a little bit slower paced life, more open spaces, more breathing room, then Northern Colorado should be a great place for you to look into. However, if you're still, wanting that great Denver nightlife, you want all the hustle and bustle of the city life, then I honestly would stay away from Northern Colorado. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about what you should expect if you're thinking about moving to Northern Colorado. All right, we're just going to hop right into the map so I could show you exactly what I mean by Northern Colorado and where it actually starts. Okay, so Northern Colorado, so this is going to be Denver. So we're going to start right here. So here is Denver. Okay, so that's kind of the hub of where everything is. If you're thinking about, a circle, it's going to be right there in the middle. I-25 is right here, and it's going to be running all the way up to essentially Cheyenne, but it's going to be the center of the city. So it's going to run right through. It's going to go all the way down to Colorado Springs. When we talk about Northern Colorado, we're mainly talking about everything north of pretty much Longmont up to Fort Collins in Greeley. So it's this area right here. So we're going to have Berthoud, Johnstown, Windsor, Loveland, Fort Collins. Severance is over here too. And you're going to have some Greeley. So Greeley is going to be right over here too. So this is the area that we're going to be mainly talking about. Now, all of these areas from Denver is going to be roughly about hour and a half, depending on which one you choose. But all of these areas from about Longmont up is growing like crazy. And compared to southern Colorado, like down there, all of those areas is going to be really pretty much built up for the most part. So if you're wanting something new or something with bigger lots, more breathing room, smaller town feel, then Northern Colorado is definitely going to be the place you want to go to. So what to expect when you move to these areas? Well, honestly, it's just a completely different type of living. It's more affordable for the most part. You're definitely going to need a car. So definitely plan on having a car out there because everything's kind of spread out. You have to definitely drive to all these different places. You could probably bike, especially if you're in Fort Collins or Greeley, because those are college towns. So you'll definitely be able to use your bike. But for the most part, all the other surrounding small little towns, you will definitely need a car because their public transit is not that great up there. Except for Fort Collins and Greeley, they probably have a bigger one because they are bigger cities. Another thing you should keep in mind is it's mainly going to be plains. Again, depending on where you're located, Loveland's going to have a little bit more rolling hills as well as Fort Collins because they kind of hug right up and down the I-25 corridor. Anything west of I-25 is going to have a little bit more of rolling hills because you're right butting up to the foothills. Everything else, though, let's say Johnstown, Windsor, Eaton, Severance, Greeley, all of that is going to be more plains. So you're going to be more rural, more agriculture is going to be out there. A lot of oil and gas takes place in this area as well. So I do want you to be aware of all those kind of things when you're moving out there. It's a different lifestyle. It truly is. You're going to have probably a lot more wind in that area just because it is so flat. It is, and it's coming from the foothills. So, it's going to hit right off of the foothills and going into the plains. So those areas do tend to be a little bit more windy, a little bit more dusty for the most part. But one thing I will say, though, what I love about this area compared to down south is there's a lot more lakes, I would say, in this area. So if you like to boat, kayak, fish, all of that good stuff, Loveland, Windsor, Fort Collins, they all have some major lakes that you could actually go out there and do all those fun water sports, opposed to a lot of the places down south. So down south, you are going to have a couple reservoirs are going to be down south that you could use. But again, it's more the city life. You have a lot of hustle and bustle. A lot of traffic is going to be down south. Up north, there's a little bit more breathing room, and that's why people love this area so much. Now, a couple areas I truly think you really should check out, especially if you want more of the peaceful feeling. First one is going to be Johnstown. Now, the reason why I love Johnstown is because it really is up and coming. It is still very small. I mean, they have just one little city market. But there's a cute little downtown area too with a couple, like diners and a coffee shop, things like that. But it is growing too. So right on I-25 where Johnstown is located, Buc-ee's, the big, huge gas station actually just went up right over there. So if you're planning on moving to an area that you want to see, potential growth, Johnstown is a really, really great area, especially if you're wanting to get into like maybe the rental market. Because a lot of people are moving to this area for Buc-ee's alone, but then there's a lot of other retail going to be going up as well, right there on the I-25 corridor. That's a great location. Another one that I highly recommend that is a small town as well is Windsor. Now, Windsor is going to be just a little bit even north of Johnstown, but still not as far north as Fort Collins. Windsor is going to be on the east side of I-25. On the west side is going to be Loveland. So Windsor is going to have all the lakes. It's gorgeous out there. What I love about Windsor is, again, it's still growing too. You still have a lot of new builds out in this area. The average price point out in Windsor is going to be roughly about $600,000. So it is still affordable, but it still has a small town vibe. It's really cool. You don't have the big box stores in this area. You're not going to find a Walmart or a Target, nothing like that. They do actually have, the small strip of, stores and shops just like Johnstown does. But it has actually a boardwalk too. So behind it on Windsor Lake, there's actually a boardwalk. There's some volleyball nets, and that's where they always have their festivals and their community events is right there on the boardwalk. So Windsor alone, I feel like it's a little bit bigger than Johnstown, but Windsor is still like, I don't know, it's really cute. It's really rolling hills. There's a lot of space out in Windsor, as well as Johnstown too. But there's a lot of space. The lots are bigger in this area too. And you could still see the mountains on the west side, as well as you have all of the lakes, a couple golf courses out there too. It's just a really, really pretty area. Now, Loveland is going to be a little bit larger than both Johnstown and Windsor. Again, still up and down the I-25 corridor, but Loveland is going to be on the west side. Now, the reason I mentioned Loveland is while it is bigger, you don't have that small town vibe. You really don't. But it is still more breathing room than, let's just say, Highlands Ranch or Castle Rock or anything like that down south. You still have more spreadability out in this area, I guess you could say, and it's close to the foothills. So you still have all of the outdoor activities. You're really close to, within 45 minutes or so, to Rocky Mountain National Park and Estes Park. You have the Devil's Backbone out there. You have Boyd Lake out there. There's just a lot going on in Loveland, as well as they still do actually have their small downtown area. So that is still really cute. And Loveland is very known for Valentine's Day. So during this time, you're going to have the hearts all over the city. So they still really do try to implement their community, tightness in Loveland, but it is going to be a little bit bigger. Loveland is still growing too. You're going to definitely see all of the new builds still taking place in Loveland, but mainly it's going to be on the northeast side of Loveland that you're going to have those new builds taking place. On the west side, it's definitely going to be more established, more mature, more mature trees, and definitely more, you're going to have a lot kind of like ranches, farms on this area. It honestly is really pretty. So that's kind of the area you're vibing towards too, with a little bit bigger town, but still, still northern, and it's definitely close to Estes Park. I would highly recommend Loveland. Now, don't get me wrong, Northern Colorado does have its faults, and one being it kind of smells like cows at times. And Greeley is the culprit of this. So Greeley is going to be one of the college towns here in Colorado, and it's for University of Northern Colorado. That is going to be northeast of Denver. And yes, very agricultural, very farmland, very cow smelling, pretty much all the time. So yeah, if that's your vibe, you want to be, around all that, Greeley is a great place to go. Greeley is going to be definitely more affordable than some of the other areas, just because it is going to be so northeast. It's still pretty rural, even though it is a college town. It's definitely growing, a lot of growth in Greeley. But you can still get a really great house in this area for, an affordable price. Right now, you're roughly around $500, $550 in the Greeley area. But just note that you most likely will be smelling farm in this area. And then Fort Collins is also going to be more the top part of my Northern Colorado video. While we do have some more even farther north, like Wellington, I don't have that many people contacting me about Wellington, honestly. That one is almost to Cheyenne. So, it's kind of out there for sure. It's still small town, but Fort Collins
Fort Collins is going to be one of the larger ones. Again, college town for sure. Fort Collins is awesome. I love Fort Collins. Even though it's bigger, they still really try to keep that small town feel. They actually have the whole downtown area, which actually Walt Disney did mimic their Disneyland off of Fort Collins downtown area. So that's kind of cool. Fort Collins is definitely known for their brewery scene. So if you're into breweries and beer and all that good stuff, Fort Collins is where most people go for that kind of area. You can have a bike in this area because people are riding their bikes all over the place because everything is pretty much tight-knit in the Fort Collins area, especially right there in the center of Fort Collins, especially where the college is. So a lot of people you'll see riding their bikes. A lot of outdoor activities are taking place in Fort Collins as well. Horsetooth Reservoir is up there. So, people are out there kayaking, boating, all of that good stuff. But overall, I would say Fort Collins, is an amazing place for sure. But it's going to definitely be more expensive than some of those other small town areas that I've already talked about. Fort Collins is going to be roughly about $650,000 and then up depending on what you get. But it is a really cool area. So overall, Northern Colorado it's definitely a different lifestyle than, say, Southern Colorado, 100%. It's a different vibe. It's a different feel. The traffic is different. The people, I feel like, are a little bit different. But it's just more laid back, in my opinion. I personally live more in the Northern Colorado side. I'm in Erie, which is kind of right at the start of Northern Colorado, I'd say. But it's just a different feel. There, you could kind of more breathing room. More breathing room. You could drive a little bit farther. You could without seeing so many people. So that's kind of what to expect if you're wanting to move to Northern Colorado. There's more opportunities, in my opinion, if you're wanting to move north. Please contact me anytime. I'm here to help you. I am a local real estate agent in the state of Colorado. I would be more than happy to help you at any time. My contact information is right there. So please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Until the next video.